Okay, next up, I'm excited to introduce our next speaker. Her name's Carlisha Robinson, and we just met and got introduced to her, so I'm so happy that she's here. She's Chief Product Officer at Overstock, and she's going to share her story about how constant change is impacting the DEI side and how we continue momentum in that space. Well, please welcome her to stage.
Good morning, everybody. So great to be here. I, again, am Carlisha Robinson, Chief Product Officer at Overstock. I usually don't need a microphone because my voice is really loud, so tell me if I am screaming at you. And the green suit does not help that. So it's a pleasure to be here. When I was asked to come and speak today, I started to think about what could I talk about? What am I going to say? What will matter? I thought about a lot of things and then got right back around to DE&I. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. I cannot miss an opportunity to speak to people, to speak to you, to speak to the men in the room, to everyone that's listening about how important it is that we don't lose our momentum in this important area. So, if it's not obvious, I am diversity. I'm female, I'm Black, and I am a chief officer at a company, so it is not only an honor to be able to talk about it, it's my responsibility to be able to talk about it. It was mentioned earlier that the higher you go, the fewer diverse women you see, the fewer women you see, period. And so that's why it was so important for me to make sure that I broach this subject and talk to you about my experiences along the way. The world is changing every single day. It's changing really fast. The tech industry is changing exceptionally fast. But the sad news is the DEI portion of that is not changing as fast as the world is changing around us. So we've got to continue the fight, continue to push to make those changes. From my personal experience, over 30 years in technology, 28 of them, and I know I'm only like 32 years old, but 28 of them being in a leadership role, I have experienced pay inequity. I earned 25% less compensation than my male peer. Like, we literally had the same title, had the same size team, had the same job, 25% less pay than my male peer. I have also been passed up for a role that I was overqualified for the reason, and I quote, well, if we add a female to that team, it's going to make it very uncomfortable for the guys when we have to go on business trips. The nerve, right? It just keeps happening, and it just keeps going. And how do we stop it? How do we bring our presence and just be present and face those things head on? As women in the room, men, this may happen to you sometimes too, but probably not as much. The women in the room, nod your head, wink, raise your hand if this has occurred, if you've ever had this feeling. That awkwardness when you walk into a room where you get that kind of awkward stare that is a blatant, do you really belong here? Yeah, a lot of nods, so sad, a lot of hands, that's sad too. Or, even worse, the not so subtle challenging of your intellect or your expertise. Yeah, that one gets me too. It just goes on and on. How do we stop this? So one of the things that I believe that as a company, if companies don't value who you are and they can only see you for your gender, your race, your sexual preference, then they actually don't deserve your brilliance, right? So, and don't let them have it. It was mentioned earlier, thankfully, I had great mentors, great advocates that supported me and helped me to become confident in what I offered. And I appreciate what they've done because here's the thing. They helped me discover that my diversity, my uniqueness is actually my strength. It's not a weakness. It's actually what I bring to the table is high contribution, and my contribution is not only valuable, but it's both valuable tangibly and intangibly. It's an honor for me to be there. And I want people to understand that it's an honor for you to be there as well. So that's why I purposefully mentor as many women as I can, both inside and outside of my company. At all ages, at any stage of their career, because it's my duty. I should pay it forward. Someone did it for me. Someone advocated for me. It's my job now to advocate for the next person. For Manya, I'm gonna be looking for her and like, girl, where are you working? Make sure that she has everything that she needs to succeed because she's putting in the work and therefore should reap the rewards, right? So those companies that don't deserve your brilliance, don't give it to them. Do not lend your talents to companies that are not seeking hockey stick-like growth in DE&I. If they are just doing that slow escalator climb, saying the words, not acting, and pretending, that's your cue to move on. I always seek out those programs when I go to a company. I'm looking for them to be there, to be active so that I can support and participate, but I'm also looking for the ones that don't exist so that I can insist that they get started. Fortunately, at Overstock, there is support. Thankfully, there is a DE&I program already intact. We've got our wonderful Women in Tech program that is happening. We've got a Overstock Women's Network. There's a lot of activity there. But the work is never done. So we have to do more. I would offer that in this struggling economy, your DE&I programs are going to be the first things to get cut. Right? When the going gets tough and the money gets tight, programs like this are always ones to get cut. And we have to fight against that. Our team at Overstock are fighting against that. We'll take a little bit off the top, but not a lot, right? So we want to make sure that we're investing in the women and investing in that in the company, and it's really important. Do not let your DE&I programs in your companies die on the vine. It is up to you, everyone in this room, women and men, to make sure that those programs stay alive. One last thing, one final bit of advice that I would offer to anyone in the room, especially my young people in the room that are coming up in their career. Remember this, job descriptions do not have a gender. Job descriptions do not have a gender. When you read the job description, it does not begin with, I am hiring a man. So, do you be unapologetically you and go for that role. It's yours to shatter. Thank you.